Okay, how about that? Have we got any sound yet? Uh-oh. Denise says they got a tornado warning on them. Oh, my goodness. But that's what I'm probably here to talk about. Yes. Okay. Well, what's happened, guys? Miss Wanda's had this computer set up for doing her Canon thing, and she had all kind of stuff turned off. This is actually my second attempt to do this. Literally, I was going like crazy a while ago and realized that something was wrong, and realized that she had turned off everything on the computer, had made it private, and all this kind of stuff. And now I finally have figured out how to make this work. So there she's coming in here. She's bringing me a little fan from the cabin. Trying to get me some air flowing in here because it is seriously hot. And I actually had even more problems, baby. You had the sound turned off. So Denise, guys, is literally, hang on here a minute. Something popped up in the middle of my screen here. I do not know what it is. I've never had this happen before.
Are you having issues?
Well, what's going on?
All right, just a minute. Click that down. Let me see. Just put it, yeah.
Okay.
Just click it off.
Click it off? Okay.
Yes, now put it back.
So much stuff popping up here. This thing. Anyway, guys.
Are you okay now?
I'm okay now. Ms. Denise had to go. She said they're under tornado warnings.
Okay.
That's Gemini Homestead for those of y'all who don't know it.
Yeah, Louisiana. Before Texas today, we got messages from some of the YouTubers that were having tornadoes in their area, having two counties really severe tornadoes.
Yeah. Hey, Ms. Ashley.
Hey, Beth. About to burn.
Yeah, it is hot.
Ashley, I need you now. We got to do Cannon tonight.
We got Cannon tonight, Ashley. Yeah.
Just joking.
No, look. Wanda and I just got through planting sweet potato draws. We set out about 245 today.
Yeah. I've got a Cannon class, so guys, I got to go do something. Are you feeling any air from that fan?
Well.
No.
I'm okay. It's a little bit sorry. Don't run off on my paper. I got to have it.
Sorry.
She's taking all my stuff. But anyway, guys, part of the reason I'm coming on here, actually, is like, don't tempt me with a good time. I don't think that's going to work. It might.
If it don't fall.
We'll see about it here.
Maybe.
Now I can't feel it for sure.
You're difficult.
I'm not difficult. You just moved it. Okay.
All right, y'all. The fan is.
Oh, now that's perfect right there. If it'll stay there.
Back the computer up.
Back the table up a little bit. There we go.
All right, we're messing you up and everything, but.
Don't worry about it. I'm okay.
But that's all they're gonna hear.
Huh?
They're gonna hear the noise.
Can you hear me, guys? Let me ask you this. Can you hear me? Because I'm fixing to get comfortable.
We don't have air.
We don't have the air. Let's see. Yes, they said it's good. Okay, I can hear you. Great. We was afraid the little fan was going to make too much noise. Okay. Loud and clear. Good deal. Now, guys, what I want to tell you is here in Mississippi, y'all probably get these in your state too. Here, it's called the Mississippi Market Bulletin. Okay? I know they have them in Arkansas and other different places around. But what I wanted to show you was on the Market Bulletin, if you look on the back of it, and y'all probably have these in yours too, you can see right here, wet conditions may delay planting efforts. So you see all the flooded areas on here? This is in Mississippi. In Mississippi here, we are facing massive crop losses here. And we have, I'm going to read one of them, says over 500 acres of flooded grazing land in Jefferson County. Now, Jefferson County is over next to the Mississippi River. And also it says Yazoo backwater flooding in Warren County and Issaquah County. Both of those counties are literally on the Mississippi River. Now, anything on the Mississippi River is flooding. Anything from the Ohio, the Missouri, all the way down in the Mississippi, all the way through Iowa, all these areas, guys, are literally flooding. We have all kind of weather conditions taking place out in the Midwest right now. I was looking just before I come live. We have winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories in northern Colorado, Minnesota, upper state Wisconsin. All these things are just winter storm warnings in, guys, it's May. Now I realize there's cold weather up there, but these are delaying the planting. Okay, Wildcat Hollow Farm says it's raining and 34 degrees where they're at. Georgia Garden Girl said her okra is turning into mush. Brenda's talking about from Duncan's Homestead, says, I can't plant my garden. It's a lake today and more rain coming. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. The food supply in our country is going to begin to suffer very quickly. I don't know how else to say this other than the fact that I have said that the grand solar minimum is going to come in. And guys, part of the grand solar minimum is the weather patterns. It's not necessarily the fact that it is freezing cold all the time. It's the unusual weather patterns. Freezing cold is part of it. Today, here for us, we've been in the 90s heat index. Now, not actual temperature, but the heat index, which is normal for us, but it's colder in the mornings than it normally is here this time of the year. We were actually planting some stuff in the soil this morning over by the cabin. I was planting some squash. There's Wanda was working in her garden, and the soil is still cold. Even though it's 90 plus heat index out there will literally burn you, the soil is still cold. And let's see here. Hunter 62012 says Minnesota, we're supposed to get 6 inches of snow tonight. See, guys, that's what I'm telling you. We can't get, everywhere I'm talking to people, today we're getting messages from people all in Texas talking about the severe weather. Y'all just saw Gemini Homestead came on here and said, gotta go. They was under a tornado warning at the time. Land is literally flooding everywhere. Crops are being lost. I was looking a while ago, grain bins. The bottom parts of the grain bins are underwater. And they're saying that they cannot even use the corn in the top of them because the water that comes into these fields from the rivers is usually contaminated with septic waste, chemicals from plants. There's so many things that is happening when these rivers get up. Most people think these rivers get up and they go down. Once they go down, you can just go in the fields and plow. Well, if the soil conditions is not just right and they go in the fields to plow, what happens is the weight of these trucks compact the soil down deep where the pan is at, and the water can't rise and it can't get out of the fields, and it creates a pan where the root system cannot get down through it. Not only that, it brings in contaminants into the fields. And because these rivers flood into there, what happens, these fields end up with debris in them. They get pieces of wood, logs, and stuff like this end up out in the fields. And guys, the farmer literally has to go all through those fields and try to get all the debris out of those fields before he can even get in there to plant anything. And not to mention, wildlife is dispersed everywhere. And when you disperse the wildlife, you know that the wildlife will actually destroy your crops, especially wild hogs, deer, stuff like that that's dispersed will literally try to destroy your crops. Hello, Country Homestead Preacher. I know you can't make the canning class because of church. Maybe next time. We kind of realized that would happen. And Chris is saying that east of the Bay Area in California, the Delta is cooler than normal too, but it's nicer than the hot weather that they're actually used to. And see, that's the thing about the grand solar minimum. There's going to be places that's actually going to have better weather, and there's going to be places that's going to have worse weather. Fairy Dust says, we're coming up on our 8th Friday in a row of rain. And guys, that's the whole issue of it here, is that farmers are saying that they need a week to 10 days for a field to dry out before they can actually get into most of them. They're not having a week to 10 days between the rains. And that's the problem. And the problem is that when we don't have our crops planted on a specific schedule, and I'm talking with a guy in California on a regular basis, email, whatever, phone, texting, however, and he's telling me about how crucial it is that everything that's planted is on a schedule. Because if they miss a week, it can be the difference between a failure and a success. So we see that, and he's telling me that everything's getting off schedule. And because of that, the food is going to be scarce this year in some of these areas. Now, Brenda's telling us here that the Missouri and the Mississippi are both out of their banks here big time. And I'm seeing that, guys. Everywhere I look, people are contacting us, talking about, since I did the other video on porch time, people are contacting saying, man, you are so right. This is going on here. That's going on there. Oh my gosh, we never realized it was going to be this bad. And I'm seeing that I don't know how we're going to get stuff planted. And I know things like this have happened in the past, but we're in a 400-year cycle on some things as far as the grand solar minimum is concerned. But guys, I'm finding out that we're in a 2,000-year, what's called flood cycle. So they're saying that 2019, the whole year, is going to be wetter than it normally is. Sierra said they went to the store today to stock up, and prices are already going up. And I don't doubt that one bit in the world. We're finding out that where we live at in our small town, the prices of things are going up. Plus, the shelves are not stocked with as many different things as they usually are. But now, we are getting some information that there are some things in this country that's actually going to benefit, because China has lost so much of their pork production. They're actually looking to different companies in the United States to actually put in extra pork facilities to raise pork. But now one subscriber sent us something that we did not know, and that was that Smith's Pork Company, which you get Smith's hams and Smith's bacon and Smith's this and Smith's that, is actually owned by a company in China, and that all of Smith's pork this year will more than likely be exported out to China and not be sold in this country because of the shortages in China. Now, guys, that means that Smithfield, yes, Smithfield is literally not going to benefit the U.S. this year, according to what I'm able to find out. So that's going to be one of our producers that's owned by a foreign country that is going to be exporting all the stuff out of this country to another country. And we were reading that, what was it about tomatoes we heard, babe? There's The prices of tomatoes went up 18% somewhere.
Yeah, I don't remember where.
Yeah.
Somebody said they went up 18% where they were at.
Yes, Papa Truck said China is buying up our desert land also. Yes. Vince says you can find some Smithfield at Walmart, but most is going to China. That's exactly right. Most of it's going to China.
So what if there's other companies that are owned by China that they start diverting our food source?
Well, see, that's just it. We don't know how many companies in the United States is actually owned by China.
Or any foreign country.
Or any, that's true, or any foreign country. So we're seeing that a lot of our stuff that we are so dependent on here in this country, because of shortages in other countries, may very well just be shipping everything out to their country. Now, Georgia Garden Girl says, Danny, I just went to town. When I asked why the store looked different, they said they had a new owner. So maybe some people are bailing while they think they can. Who knows? You know, I mean, some people are probably trying to get out while the getting's good. Mama Tried said, what's Miss Wanda up to? She's getting ready for her canning class tonight. She's getting her potatoes ready. We'll probably be going live in about 2 hours. Probably a little bit less than 2 hours. We're going to be canning potatoes. There's still, if y'all want to get in on that, it's a $10 class. You can sign up at, how do they sign up?
PayPal.
Through PayPal. WANKINGDAN20@gmail.com if you're interested in the class tonight. It's at 6 o'clock Central Time. Send an email to Deep South Homestead. Let us know that you signed up, and you can get in on the class because it's private. You'll be sent a private URL to be able to join in on the class. Vince says, is there anything besides PayPal?
I don't know. I've never. PayPal is just usually the way I do it. I don't know.
That's the way we usually do it. Tamara says the canning class is so worth it.
Tamara's actually started canning since our last class, and she is blowing it out of the water. She's hooked.
80 Krauser says they had 2 inches of rain in about an hour and a half today. Guys, that's what I'm talking about.
Ooh,
$8 a gallon for diesel in Germany.
Ooh, your tractor would sit.
My
still.
tractor would not be used unless we were plowing.
It would be. He uses it like a, I don't know, a 4-wheeler. He goes back and forth to the cabin and back and forth feeding animals. He uses the tractor for everything. It's mainly a riding toy. But you would learn to walk at $8 a gallon.
Jan is right. Somebody sent us a link a while ago telling us that Kroger's had canning supplies on sale, and Jan is saying that it's also a Tractor Supply, $8.99 for pints.
Yeah, that's about what we were getting them at Walmart.
We buy them at Walmart here locally for that.
For that price.
Yeah.
But some places in the country, you remember Jen at the Nut House, the flats. We get flats for
$1.79.
We were getting them for $1.79. They've already went up to $2.29, and I have not bought any lately, so I don't even know the price. Jen caught them on sale for around $3 or something, and she was used to paying $4 or something.
$4 and something in California for canning flats.
So everybody, y'all know your canning supplies may be different where you're at. Here in Mississippi, it seems to stay reasonably cheap right now.
Time to Sow says, I'm sick of the rain. I won't postpone planting any time. This time, I'll plant in the rain.
Well, Danny and I actually got sprinkled on today while we were out there, so we decided, you know what, we just do it.
Two Wild Onions says they use Tatler lids. I used Tatler lids one time, but I had several things that failed, and I'm just not, and it was my fault more than likely, but I just hadn't decided to go back in them. Brenda says she's got to check in on supper real quick.
Seems like everything in California is super expensive.
Super expensive in California. Nancy says they buy everything from Lehman's. We were going to, but Lehman's, we only seen the gold lids. We don't use the gold lids because here in the Deep South, they rust.
Yeah, the silver lasts long.
The silver will last for years, but the gold will make it maybe a year and a half, and they start rusting really bad. And Lehman's may already, they may have the silver, and that's perfectly fine if you can get them there. Then that's real good. Let's see here. We haven't been able to bale hay properly for at least 2 years here in southern Ohio because of all the rain. And the Pratts, that's what another thing that we're talking about is the fact that you can't bale hay. That affects the farm. That affects the beef. That affects everything. And let's see here. Paige just got in here from upstate New York. Georgia Garden Girl says same here in the mountains. Thank you, Sharon, for that comment on the video. Let's see here. Grossmania said had to go buy chick starter for our chicks that are getting big fast. Depends on what breed you got there. And if you got the Cornish cross, they get fast really big. Birch Pine says I might just do that too. Plant in the rain. We've done that. If the day is right for above ground crops or below ground crops or whatever we're doing, then that's what we do. We just jump in there and put it in the ground. We make our rows up and we get everything ready, and sometimes we just got to do it in the rain. Mama Tried Homestead said, are we planting anything this week? Yes, we just planted today 245 sweet potato draws, and in about 2 weeks we got 300 more to go. Now we do have some sweet potato draws that's going to be on our Etsy store here real soon. Check out our Etsy store at deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com for sweet potato draws if you're interested in them. They will be the Puerto Rican yams, Puerto Rican reds. I get that right. Hello, Amanda. Glad to see you made it home, sweetheart. We'll have the Puerto Rican reds up on there probably, maybe by the end of the week. But let's see here. Jan says she's planting her corn tomorrow. Let's see here. I have planted in the mud before, Brenda says. Ghostmania says Orpingtons. Okay, they're probably the buff Orpingtons. Oh, man, look, we had a blast here. We had Amanda from Freedom Acres with us this past week, a day or so, her and Sunshine. We had the most fun. That Sunshine literally just made my day. Literally. That girl loves me and I love her, you know. Let's see here. Soren says I just started my white sweet potatoes today to get slips. Well, we're going to have white sweet potato slips for sale probably, and the Puerto Rican reds. BW says, what does Puerto Rican reds taste like? Well, to me, personally, it is the best tasting sweet potato out there because it is a darker red, has more tar in it than the other sweet potatoes do. Now, the Bartleman sweet potato is also a good one. If you're up north, the Beauregards are a really good sweet potato up there. And and possibly I could have some Beauregards ready in maybe by the weekend. I might have some of them ready. If you're interested in some of them, then you might want to check back with us. Vince says both slips is on Etsy. Not yet. You have to give us a little bit of time because we don't know how many we have or how many we can put on there yet because we haven't finished with all of ours yet. Once we finish with ours, then we will put them up on there, and we will, have them for sale for everybody else once we get what we need planted. Papa Truck says, yeah, purple sweet potatoes started in containers. We had purple sweet potatoes coming up everywhere here.
They're coming up again.
And they're coming up again, yes.
We dug them
all up. And we may actually have some purple ones to sell if people want them.
Yeah, because we didn't like the purple ones as well. They're okay.
They're okay. We just didn't care for the taste.
They were more bland.
Yeah.
I don't even really like the white ones. Now, Danny does.
I love the white ones.
We're planting some white ones this
Yeah.
year. And according to how many he wants to plant, we may have slips for sale later.
Chris says, is it too late to start slips in California? I don't think it is, because you can plant sweet potatoes all the way up to probably the 1st of July.
That fan feels good.
That fan does feel good. Yeah. Yes. Can soil that is too sandy cause plants not to grow as fast properly? Yes, because the nutrition leaches out of the soil really, really fast, Cosmania, and you have to be constantly adding nutrition back into the soil because it will leach pretty fast.
Jan is growing rice in old coolers. That is pretty
See,
cool.
in case next year is even wetter than this year, I should do well in the lower part of my yard. Wow, that's pretty
Now,
interesting.
see, that's something I hadn't thought about, but these people that have all this wet ought to be planting rice.
They ought to be.
And then it'd dry out and it'd be too dry and they would
Soren says, the white and purple I fry like regular iced potatoes. They're not sweet. Right. That is a thought.
What?
Well, we did that last year. We fried the purple ones.
I fried them. Yeah, they're good fried.
They're good fried. Yeah. And the white ones I like fried.
Danny just did not like them as his sweet potato dessert. I canned some, and I made the dessert with some of I canned. I did not can that many.
Yes.
But I've used some of them, and he's not crazy about them for that.
Right. But guys, the main reason I wanted to get on here was to tell you all about all the flooding that's actually still taking place. They're actually having what did they say a while ago? 125 mile an hour winds.
It was crazy. You said
125 mile an hour winds in some part of the United States today. It's like hurricane force winds. We've got winter storm warnings coming through the plains. Colorado, upper state, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Missouri, the Mississippi, the Ohio, all these places are flooding. Crop fields are just underwater everywhere. And I showed y'all pictures a while ago of the Mississippi Delta and all the Delta that's underwater.
Somebody that is in South Carolina, Dave from South Carolina, says he has 10 acres that could be planted if someone with seed and equipment would come and plant and they could split the food. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. You guys, if you live in South Carolina and maybe you message him, see where he's at, see if it's possible. If you don't have, say you live in a spot where you only have an acre or two and you need more land and you're close to him, it would pay you, because Danny and I, if we found somebody that had enough land, flat land, for us to plant more crops, would probably be doing that also. Yeah.
Ghost Mania, I answered the question a while ago. Yes, it can, because a lot of your nutrition can leach through the soil and sandy soil, so you have to be constantly adding nutrition back into sandy soil. That's where we are here. We constantly got to be adding nutrition.
Yeah, because people say, you know, you keep adding stuff, and when you've got good soil or soil that holds the nutrition.
Yeah.
People think they put it there and for 2 or 3 years it's really good with all their stuff. We put it there and 6 weeks later it's gone.
Oh, yeah, we was watching Amanda as y'all were driving home. I told Wanda, I said, I hope they get there before all that weather gets to them. But she said, rain the last 2 hours of their trip. The trees were bowing. I could barely keep us on the road from the wind. Yes, that's what they're talking about, is how much wind is in these storms. Because of the grand solar minimum, we're going to have more what they call downburst, straight line winds, and stuff like that, tornadoes.
YouTube Yoda asked about, was there any of the local towns had places for people in the public to grow? And here in the South, people are just, everybody has land.
Everybody's got land everywhere.
With flat yards all over the place, beautiful green grass growing. And I told Danny, I said I would give anything for us to have that beautiful piece of flat land just to grow on. There's more flat land here that is being just put into yards. And eventually people are going
Everybody wants a pretty lawn. They don't care about the food, because they're like, well, we can go to the store and get food, you know?
Yeah.
Wildcat said they got lucky. Their farm is in a dry valley bottom. You're very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah. Well, we have people that we know in the area, and probably if we get out and asked, there's 2 or 3 places within, a mile or two, we probably could be planting something.
Yeah.
It's just that right now we've got more on our plates, but we would love to be able to plant more.
Corn is our biggest issue right now.
And you need some flat land for corn.
You need some good flat land for corn. Let's see here. Spook says they gradually turning their yard into a garden. Chris said they done it years ago.
Everybody will start doing
Yeah,
that.
people's gonna start. You may be in an HOA, but you're gonna pretty soon come to the HOA's even gonna come to a point where they're gonna say, you know what?
Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. But Julie says you can't plant in your front yard in California anymore, and that's probably because of an HOA.
Yeah, and we got Colts. Looks like Chevy truck from Oklahoma. And YouTube video says, find people that will let you plant and split the profits.
Yeah. Yeah, Deborah, people are funny about their land. Now, Jennifer is saying that they wish they had some flat land because it's a challenge planting on those hills up there.
Yeah. Well, it is here.
That's why everything we have is on a hillside, and it's a challenge.
And Danny has flattened some spaces, but you lose land if you have a flat space and then you have downhill. You've lost all this land, doesn't get used, and then you have a flat space and you have downhill. So a good portion of our land is not usable for planting.
Wildcat says we should plant amaranth because it's a lot more tolerant to the conditions than most plants, and it's native to the North American continent here.
I haven't seen Mr. Hank, Mr. and Mrs. Dexter, or the goats in a while. We have just been so busy. I film off and on, and I throw them in an animal folder. And with the cabin, the last 3 months has just been doing everything, and now we're doing the garden and stuff. So I have video of all of them. We just hadn't had time to do a video.
Yeah.
I'm like 4 or 5 videos.
We're way behind
right
on videos because you're going to see some of our videos coming out, and you're going to see me mentioning the date and the time and everything, and you're going to go, wow, that was a week ago. But I don't have a choice. We just have too many
YouTube
videos.
Yoda, yes, some of the candy corn is coming along great. I worked on it today. I wanted a video out today, but it just hadn't happened. So I will have a cabin garden video out on Crazy Days. Probably, it may not be tomorrow because I got a cannon class, and it might be tomorrow afternoon or the next day. But I will have a candy corn showing you it's probably up, some of it's close to a foot.
About 8 to 10 inches, yeah.
So the whole garden, I'm going to give an update. I've got a Greenstalk update for Crazy Days shortly, one day this week. We're going to be taking out the lettuce and stuff and transplanting in some strawberries and all, and show you what it's doing.
Sherry, we do have fruit trees on our slopes everywhere. That's one thing.
More.
And adding more. But these green stalks that Wanda's talking about, these things is really the way to go if you're in a small confined area and you need to raise a lot of stuff. These things are amazing as to the amount of stuff you can grow in them and the small amount of work that it takes.
Okay, Julie says they wanted to outlaw rat poison, and there was an outbreak of typhus in Los Angeles. Already here we have issues with rat poison.
Well, the problem here is you can't buy rat poison here either because, unless you buy it in large quantities. Because some dude tried to poison his family, they said.
Because he was buying 1 bar at a time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you could buy a large quantity and they couldn't catch you. I mean, I don't know their reasoning behind that. I've not figured that out. But we have to buy, what is it, $30 or $40?
You got to buy $40-something worth of rat poison, or we can't buy it at all.
Yeah, and that's a little steep when you just want one little $2 bar.
Let's see here. Where we at? Both my garden plots are on hillsides. 80 Krauser says, trying to clear some more flat land on the hilltop for garden and hopefully pasture and livestock. Amanda says that she loves her Greenstalk, comes highly recommended. the past winter killed 5 of our fruit trees, Brenda said. We lost a couple of ours.
And the deal is, if you buy one apple tree or one peach tree and you expect that tree to produce in 5 years or something, it may not. You guys buy more than one because something could happen to it. It's not easy having just one of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris said swales, terraces on hillsides. We have terraces everywhere. We put our fruit trees on the back side of them. Some people call them a swale. We call them a terrace. Lou's Northern Homestead, I just read a couple died from the bubonic plague from eating a rodent. It was on World News. Yes, oh. I told Wanda the other day I got a notification that the bubonic plague had already made its way back into the United States.
And I was going, really? As Parker said, that his mom used a cast iron skillet for the rats. Wow. We are really seeing an abundance of them. We saw them last year, but this year is like total crazy. They're worse than ever.
Oh, yeah, the rats are bad here this year. We're really bad. Does anyone follow Larry Hall's rain gutter growing system? Good for us, land poor gardeners. I know who you're talking about, Paul, but I don't follow him. I mean, I know who you're talking about.
For anybody that has a small area, it looks like the gutters are set up in systems, and you put your dirt in it and grow out of it, and it would keep you from, I guess, some of these HOAs and things, it would help. And plus, if your dirt's horrible, you have rocks in it, you can put your good soil. It would be similar to my Greenstalks. My Greenstalks are in this way. You would just be planting long ways, and it would be awesome.
Leslie says she's looking at about 16 peach trees I need to plant. Yeah, you need to get them in before the rain, girl.
Get to digging. You got about 24 hours or less.
One of them was saying there that the squirrels was eating up everything they had. Well, here in about a week, maybe a little more, we're going to have a massive squirrel killing here.
Yeah, and people, don't like that too much, but the squirrels are cute till you see them toting your little baby peaches. This tree over here was loaded, and Danny goes, it looks like there's not that many. And I went and looked, and there's little bites in every one of the little peaches about this big on the ground.
Yeah.
There's probably 24 of them laying on the ground right now from squirrels.
Yeah. That's why Ms. Wanda stocks up on a lot of taco seasonings, and she's got chili, fajita seasonings, and all that kind of stuff. She's got them vacuum sealed in a big container in there, and she said, you know what? If we have to eat squirrels and rabbit and all that kind of stuff, she says you can add that little bit of seasoning to it, and it really
gives it some flavor,
and it kind of takes your mind off of what it really is.
Yeah, I'm telling you, stock up on some seasoning mixes. You can throw that seasoning mix in with a couple of squirrels, and at least maybe that meat would taste a little more. I mean, why would you want to just cook squirrel with maybe some salt in it and try to eat it, and you know what it is and you're really having a hard time? Why not take and throw that taco seasoning or that chili seasoning in there and change the flavor of that, and at least you're eating something you're used to.
Yeah. Wildcat Hollow says squirrel brains and eggs was a favorite in their house growing up. Mm-hmm. My grandpa used to eat that too.
I've heard of it. That's about it.
Florida Homesteader said, I just smoked up a rabbit the other day.
Squirrel and dumplings, and I've heard of that.
I've had that. Yeah, growing up, my mom used to cook squirrel and dumplings all the time.
That's a great idea to have a different taste in
squirrel every night. If you have, that's what we're talking about. You got to be creative with these wild animals, guys.
You got to be creative when you're cooking anyway.
Yes.
Squirrel gravy. Now, my daddy loved that. He would fry up his squirrels and make gravy and some rice, and he was good to go.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever tasted a squirrel, but I may have to one day.
Wildcat Hollow says, if it moves, it's food. If it's slow, it's easy food. If it doesn't move, it doesn't smell too bad, it's still food. Ranch squirrel, there you go. Wild game was a staple for my family growing up in Florida Homesteader said. Same thing for me.
Frugal Suburban said they need to find a cookbook they got 20 years ago called Roadkill Cooking. Well, the problem here in Mississippi, if you kill something on the road, it is so hot and humid. If you don't get it like right then, if you come by and somebody hit it 2 hours earlier, you really don't want to mess with it.
Time to sow says, why are my baby lemons turning yellow and falling off the tree? It could be a nitrogen issue. It could be just not having enough nitrogen. It could be a lack of water. It could be several different things.
Yeah, Vance says he trapped 22 squirrels last year, 10 so far, bumper crop.
Hey, we've probably got 50 in our yard out here.
Right now.
Right now.
They're not scared of us.
No.
One walked this far from me the other day, just walked right in front of me and just kept looking and going. They don't see us as a threat, so they just do what they want to do. So Freedom Maker says they have a copy of the Roadkill Cookbook at their library.
I was just reading that, yeah. Southern Roots and Charm said they have 10 in the freezer now.
YouTube Yoda wants to know, is squirrel good eating? Certain times of the year. When do you not want to get it?
I only eat squirrels after the first frost, and throughout the winter I'll eat them all the way up till about mid-February. And then after that I don't eat them anymore.
This time of the year is not an expert time to eat them because of
they got wool. It's called a wool. A little fly bites them and it lays an egg in them, and it makes a big old wool worm that grows underneath their skin. You'll notice they'll have a bare patch on their body with no hair on it. That's they usually have a fever during that time. And same thing with rabbits. Rabbits do the same thing. I don't eat rabbits in the heat either.
Okay, so Chris Young was saying something about no, it was birch pine. Said roadkill for dog food had crossed their mind several times. I guess you could do that.
You could do that.
I would probably cook it outside just because I don't like I wouldn't want to smell the house up. But yeah, outside cooking, and that would probably work.
Yeah. I had to get that.
Okay, so Dave put up his Gmail address if anybody is interested in sharecropping his land in South Carolina. So guys, if you live in South Carolina or somewhere close that you think you would be interested, Dave SC for South Carolina put his link up or his Gmail up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, spring and summer squirrels have parasites. Yes. Looks like a grain of rice under the skin. That's exactly right. Yes. But anyway, guys, the reason I came on was we had a lot of stuff popping up in the country about our food supply again. I did porch time. I did porch time because I felt like it was urgent. Everything I showed you on porch time actually happened within a 2-week period. And then today I get up and I find out we're having blizzards across part of our country. The rivers, the Ohio, the Mississippi, the Missouri, all this is still flooding. I looked at the dam in Nebraska that has ruptured. It's horrible looking. I looked at all the land that had been destroyed by it and everything. And I just come to the realization that, guys, our food supply we're in trouble. In the Delta of Mississippi, a lot of the farmers are having to park all their equipment up on the levees because the river is flooding their farms, it's flooding their crops and everything, the fields and all that. And it's not looking good because they're not being able to get into the fields. And I'm afraid that that we are going to be going back into another Great Depression as far as food is concerned. And when you start talking about a Great Depression, people automatically start thinking about the financial side of it, and it's not always the financial side. The Great Depression had a lot of other issues other than the financial side. Right during that time, they had the Dust Bowl that happened right after that, and guys, there's lots of things that that this country could face that's worse than a financial problem. because we can live without a lot of money, but we can't live without a lot of food, and that's just the bottom line. It's just not food. Here where I live at, you hardly ever see a honeybee anymore. Occasionally you'll see one, but usually it's just bumblebees, hornets, yellow jackets, wasps, stuff like that. It's bad. Brenda said they had 2 levees ready to break yesterday in St. Charles, Missouri. I did see that, Brenda. I did see that. That's one of the things another thing that I thought about, that made me decide to want to do this video, because if those things, Georgia Garden Girl said, Danny, did you see that our local soup kitchen closed? Yes, I did. Yes. Because it's a lack of food, guys. I mean, I don't know how else to say this. You're going to see a lot more problems begin to arise. And it's probably not going to get here till probably October, November, maybe December of this year. But after that, we're really going to be able to see prices beginning to increase. Food shortages are going to be starting to happen. I'm just concerned, guys. I'm really concerned. I mean, here at Deep South Homestead, we are trying our best to even plant more food than we normally do. We're actually investing in solar lights right now because we've come up with this idea that if we put solar lights in our fields, it might keep the deer out of the fields so that they don't disturb our crops. They don't mess with our crops. Now, if you leave them in the same place too long, the deer will get used to them, and yeah, they'll still come in. But these little solar lights like you get at Walmart for 10, 15 bucks for a pack of 6 or 8 of them, we're just starting to stick them around in the fields, and we're noticing we're not having any deer problems. So, like Amanda just said, it is time to get serious. We've talked about this for the last 3 years at Deep South Homestead on our YouTube channel, and guys, it's finally coming to fruition now. We're finally fixing to start seeing the effects of everything that we've been talking about. What about a radio outside to scare the deer? A deer and a radio is like a deer and a barking dog. They will eventually learn that barking dog cannot get to them if he's on a chain, and they'll walk within 5 foot of him and him barking up like crazy. And they eventually get used to the radio.
Scratchmate says they have them on cattle panels and it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to start putting more solar lights out to help with that kind of stuff. I'm hoping it'll work somewhat, because my little garden at the cabin is very exposed.
Yeah.
And it is in a deer crossing section. Plus the sweet potatoes is in a deer crossing section, and they love sweet potatoes.
Little Swamp Hurt says, what's this channel about? Evidently there's a new person on the channel. This channel is about growing food. It's about being sustainable. It's about surviving LCEs, life-changing events. It's about sharing the gospel. It's about doing all those things tied up into one.
They won't be able to eat those stocks on Wall Street.
That's it. The Bible says in the latter days of an age that they will throw their gold and their silver into the streets, and they will curse it because they cannot eat it.
See, now Central North Carolina says their garden is doing great. Right now ours is.
Ours is doing good.
We've had issues when we had the late freeze, but things are bouncing back. Not everything bounced back, but some of it did, and we'll show you the ones that did and the ones that didn't off and on as we harvest. But it's some places going to have some good harvest and some aren't. Or they may have later harvest.
Yeah. Copper LED on Amazon. Yes. Scratchmate's putting up what they're using.
I saw the copper ones today. I was looking at those.
Yes, I mean, It ain't necessarily just about the weather, guys. Wildlife can destroy your garden in a night.
Or your animals.
Or your animals. If you don't have your animals penned up well, they can get out and, like goats, they can get out and eat your whole garden, and you won't even know it before it's too late. Or your pigs, or whatever, cows.
Hey, Stephanie. She said tons of rain. Thankfully, it needs to let up a little bit. I also have tomato curl.
Potato curl.
Oh, potato curl disease. Oh, from the rain, I guess.
Well, it could be from several different things.
But they've had a lot of rain, a lot of moisture there for the last little while.
Chris said he's always laughed at the gold investors, because if you have a means of production and water, you will be king. That's exactly right.
Take over.
If you take off the part that goes in the ground and put them on 3/4 foot poles, it will throw a light further. They look nice. I do that up north. It keeps it above the snow.
Oh, she's talking about the little light.
Yeah,
instead of putting them in the ground, going up some. Yes.
Yeah.
Danny needs to pee around the garden. Well, he uses the.
I use my urine. I do use my urine. I use it for my pepper plant.
It works really well.
And it works
peppers.
really good on peppers.
Don't put it on your peppers.
No, not on your peppers, but on the dirt.
On the dirt, it works really well. Peppers seem to like it really well. You put string around tops. Yes. We have enough trees that we could string some pie plates and different things, and we could do different colored ribbons, and probably keep the deer out of most everything out there if we just kept working with it a little more. They haven't been too bad lately. Okay.
Nancy Moe says, on March the 2nd, I had a huge heart attack and died. God brought me back. On April the 20th, I was able to start my canning again. It's important to get serious. Wow.
Yes.
What a testimony.
That's awesome.
Amanda says, those were the best pepper plants.
They were huge.
They were huge.
Oline from Eustace?
Hey, from Eustace. Yeah, Eustace.
Eustace.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where Eustace is, but okay.
Okay. Guys, we can't stay on here too long because Ms. Wanda's got her class in just a few minutes.
Yeah, and I got to add some pictures.
We got to add some pictures. We got to get her
links.
Send links, get her thumbnail back, and all this kind of stuff.
That he rearranged everything last minute, so
yeah.
I got to be doing some stuff right quick. Let's see, it's almost 5. It's almost time for me to send links.
Yeah, it's almost time to send links, and we ain't got everything done. I have
interrupted me.
Amanda says, see y'all at the class. We will, sweetheart. We'll see you at the class, and we will see anybody else who wants to join the class. Go check it out. It's a $10 fee.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in a little while because Miss Wanda's needing her computer to get things done. I have messed things up probably.
He knows I had most. I'm not a last minute person, so I had most everything done.
Yeah.
So we will be ready, and everybody in the class will just hang with us with whatever we got going on.
Yeah, we're going to go back and make this private. You know that, don't we?
Unlisted, yeah.
Unlisted, yeah, it'll be unlisted, okay.
It'll be unlisted, and I'll be sending out links within 15 to 20 minutes. If I'm late, guys, just bear with me.
Bear with us. It was my fault. Okay. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank you from Deep South Homestead. Thank you, moderators, too.
Yes.